Sir, uh, which your opinion on this particular subject matter? Uh, how do you think what do you think government should have done? Sometimes one of the things I like to do, or I like to ask people is, okay, if you say it is not like that, then which one do you think should have come first?
Well, the truth of the truth of the matter, therefore, is that the Nigerian state has no business removing subsidy. Subsidy removal is a validation of government failure. And you can see what it has done to the economy. That's what it is. Forget the argument that we are removing subsidy because the state cannot pay subsidy anymore. Now, the destruction the subsidy removal has done to Nigeria economy is worse than the money you have saved. It is more than the money you have saved. So even the money you have saved, what are you doing? You're just sharing the money and everybody's living, all politicians are living a large life. Of course, we have seen some of them. I wouldn't want to mention anybody's name. You can say a lawmaker in this country flying private jets with a woman inside and even has the audacity to share the picture online. These are the issues. Two, you said you're removing subsidy because of corruption. It is not the state. You cannot fault citizens for your inability to fight corruption. You know there are issues with subsidy removal. Address the responsibility of the state is to address corruption. And that's why we have anti-graft agencies. So if the only solution that the state should remove subsidy is because it cannot fight corruption, it doesn't exist. It doesn't want to be called a state anymore. If go to China cannot say it cannot do what it ought to do for the benefit of its citizens because of corruption. They will take away the corruption and they take away the individuals responsible for the corrupt act. Two, I expected the Nigerian state should fix the refinery. That's what it is. Aramco oil is a good example there, and I always talk about this. It is not also true that the market fundamentalists, the neoliberal fundamentalists, those who benefit from neoliberal model and naked capitalist movement, they always tell you that they have to do this because state has no business in doing business. The primary responsibility of the state is to do business because the state exists to manage public resources. And if the state exists to manage public resources for public good, their responsibility is to do business. The primary responsibility of the state is to guarantee the welfare of the people and security of lives and property. And the only way state will do this is to ensure that the state functions optimally. So the truth of the matter, therefore, is that the Nigerian state ought to understand that petrol is Nigerian energy security. As a matter of fact, people have managed this subsidy for a very long time. And the truth of the matter, therefore, is that anybody, an individual, when Jonathan, for instance, in 2012 or thereabout, when Jonathan, after the subsidy protest, and the Nigerian state set up a probe, we saw people who never brought petrol in this country, and they took money, they presented fake invoice and took money. And what I'm saying, therefore, is that the amount of money that people take in the name of subsidy removal shouldn't happen in a country that takes governance seriously. And Bishop, do you also know that the amount of oil theft that is going on in this country is worse than fuel subsidy removal? And we are not talking about it. So I am saying, therefore, this idea of outsourcing governance in the name of in the hands of private sector because of governance incompetence is never the way to go. So for me, really, subsidy removal is a governance issue, and that governance issue must be addressed. And let me say, since the removal of subsidy, what has happened? The money you have saved from subsidy, where is the money? You've given the money to state governors and some of your friends and some other people in the federal level to spend. There are no clear investment. There are no clear investment, there are no clear intervention pointing at that this is what we are doing with subsidy removal, money from subsidy savings. Rather, the state is saying that we are using the money to pay, what do they call it now, to pay debt. And even despite the subsidy removal, we are still borrowing more money. The state is highly indebted. So the question therefore is, it has shown clearly to all of us that the problem is not revenue. The problem is governance and accountability. That's where the problem lies. Even if you decide to say that every Nigerian, when every Nigerian wakes up in this country, every day he contributes 100 naira into or 200 naira into the coffers of the with the behavior of those who find them, with the behavior of our leaders, I believe you me, we are going nowhere because it's about leadership and accountability. So nobody should come and tell me the story about the state has to remove subsidy because the state cannot pay, the state cannot continue. There's nothing wrong in fixing the refineries. And as a matter of fact, since the subsidy has been removed, sure, one of the conversations they pushed around is that, oh, when we remove subsidy, market forces will force down the price. When we remove subsidy, refineries will be privatized, deregulation, privatization, all these things will take place. Have they happened? Are the refineries working? Has the market prices, has the market forces dropped the price? Has government taken off its hand in the management of petrol, crude? These are the conversation. These are the kind of conversation that you know that these guys are just lying. And I'm saying no. It is so clear to everybody that, and again, sometimes ago, last year, one of your resource persons in your studio even was arguing that some people have 2 cars, some people have 3 cars, to tell you the kind of intellectual dishonesty we have in this country. I'm sorry to use the word intellectual dishonesty or intellectual fraud. Some persons willingly reduce fuel subsidy conversation to the number of people, to the number of cars. Oh, if Liberty has 3 cars, because petrol is cheap, he benefits from subsidy removal. So we reduce energy security to the buying of fuel in different cars. So now that subsidy has been removed, it has become so clear to everybody that it is the greatest economic error. Now, but because it gives money or it puts money into the pocket of few individuals, and it also part of the yearning and aspiration of the Western world, particularly IMF and World Bank, ensuring that Nigerian state will never have a stable economy or will never have a strong economy that will push for real economic development beyond the struggling of Maslow's theory of needs, clothing, food, and shelter. We are happy about it. It is so bad in this country today that the first law of the first Maslow theory of need, which is food, clothing, and shelter, Nigerians cannot afford food anymore. And you are saying that you are talking in terms of reform. So, Bishop, I don't know how it's going to look like, but the truth of the matter is that at the level I am now, in all sincerity, because those who talk about neoliberal are not always talking about developmental economics. Let's begin to talk about developmental economics and let's see what is happening. So for me, really, the government has no reason of removing subsidy in the first place. What we needed to do was to step up governance, take governance issues seriously, because the problem is most of the people or most of leaders in Africa really do not come into power to solve any problem. That's the challenge. Many of them come into power because of primitive capitalist accumulation. Once they are comfortable, anything can go, and that's why there's no clear indicators of success if you look at virtually most of the Africa countries. And that is why it is so easy for IMF and World Bank to deceive them.